From Las Vegas, it's Dry Heat with Mike Davis.
All right, everybody, welcome here inside the Den FOX5 Studios. Mike Davis, a brand new edition of Dry Heat with one of my favorite people. This guy, I mean, listen, we have a lot of talented people come into the Den for Dry Heat, but this guy, ventriloquist, comedian, singer, impressionist. He does a little bit of everything. You know him because he won the second season of America's Got Talent. And ever since then, this guy's been grinding. He's a fixture here in Las Vegas. And here at the Smith Center for the Las Vegas Philharmonic, they're closing out their 26th season. In My Own Voice, an intimate evening with Terry Fator that's going to be going down. We're going to be learning all about it. And I'm especially excited because I always think this guy doesn't even need a puppet. He doesn't need Winston the Turtle because his voice is so darn beautiful. Joining me inside the Den, the great Terry Fator. Terry, great to be back with you.
Thank you. That's quite a compliment. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
I think this is what's so fascinating about you is that, and I want to get into your history and your story and all that stuff, but you really can sing. There's a lot of people who are good with the ventriloquist stuff. They can do some impressions. You can sing. When you sing like Marvin Gaye with Julius, it sounds like Marvin Gaye. When you try to sing like Bocelli and you sing the prayer, it sounds like Bocelli. So the way that you can traverse genres, it's remarkable to me, actually.
It's weird. It's really, truly is a gift. And let me tell you how this came about. So I could do impressions from the time I was 3 years old. I could hear things. I probably drove my poor parents crazy because I would mimic everything. And then when I started to really sing, when I was 7 and 8 and 9, we had Donny Osmond, we had Michael Jackson, we had Wayne Newton, and so of course I'd be on and they called it puppy love. I could do this,
right.
And then I found ventriloquism when I was 10, and so I always had this ability to mimic singers. And then when my voice changed, I was able to start mimicking the adult singers. Never really thought about doing female voices at that time, but I was doing impressions. Like I would have my puppet. We would go to church, and I would have my puppet. Well, I guess I did do female voices because at the time, the big popular Christian singers that they would play at church were Amy Grant, Michael W. Smith, and David Meese and things.
Okay.
And I would get up, and my puppet would sing like Amy Grant. So I guess I forgot that
You
I
can
did
mimic.
that. I just thought of that. I just remembered that just now. So I guess I was doing female voices. But the funny thing is, so when I finally started doing impressions of singers and puppets, and we talked off the air about the fact that I was in a band for 15 years.
Right.
I was in two different bands.
Freedom Jam and Texas in the Band. So you would actually go up and perform without a puppet,
Yes.
without doing anything. You're just the lead
Yes.
singer of a group.
And we would do all these different impressions. So one of the reasons why our band was so popular is that I could do every style and every type of music. So we would go straight from Guns N' Roses, and then the next song would be George Strait, and then the next song would be Def Leppard, and then the next song would be Randy Travis.
But let's give
the people were just
context
kind of
to
like,
this.
"Whoa, what is happening?"
Let's give context because, yes, you could go to a bar and hear a cover band do something with Guns N' Roses and then do a little Randy Travis. But they're going to sound the same doing it.
Yes, they were horrible.
So you would actually sound like Axl Rose and then sound like Randy Travis.
So honestly, this is how I figured out. This is how I actually found out that I am an impressionist. I honestly had no idea. I could just hear it and mimic it. I did not know that I had a special talent. So one day, my guitar player, Rob Beard, we're of Texas the Band. We're in this bar. And we're listening to this guy, and he's singing, what was he singing? Oh, Def Leppard. And he was singing Animal, just,
Yeah.
and I won't. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God. I said, this guy is awful. I said, why doesn't he just sing it like Joe Elliott? And my guitar player looks at me and with this confused look and said, "You're the only person in the world I've ever met that can actually do that." And I said, "Really?" I said, "I thought they were doing that on purpose." And he goes, "No, you're the only person I know that can change your voice."
Right.
So that was when I was like, "Oh wow, I have the ability to do impressions." And so we did that for a long time. And then one day I came to see Danny Gans here in Vegas, and he was like the biggest thing in the world. And go ahead and cough, baby. My wife has has had a terrible dry cough, and you don't feel bad.
It's his dry heat with Mike Davies.
It's dry heat. So anyway, I went to see Danny Gans, and I'm going, oh my gosh, he does what I do. He does, and so he did one song after another, and I thought, I do that voice, I do that voice, I do that voice, and I left the show thinking, I'm going to be a Las Vegas headliner. And I'd been a dream of mine since I had read an article about him in the 80s that he had signed a multi-million-dollar, multi-year deal in Las Vegas. And so I thought, I can do this. And so as I'm driving back, I was doing the Logandale Fair, the Nevada State Fair in Logandale, or the Clark County Fair, I mean. And so I was playing that every single night that they was going. And I'm thinking, well, there's already a Danny Gans, and I don't want people to say, oh, Terry Fator, he's Danny Gans light. I thought, well, how can I make it different? I thought, well, I'm a ventriloquist.
Right.
Why don't I just let my puppets do the impressions? Now, to me, it was just a natural, easy. We talked about the fact that when I had a janitorial business, or my parents did, and I would, when I'm cleaning toilets and vacuuming and dusting and emptying ashtrays and garbages, I would sing along to the radio with my mouth closed and practice my ventriloquism. Right. So for me, it was not hard for me to do. So I get up on stage for my next show. That was maybe noon on, whatever, after I'd seen Danny Gans. And I thought, I'm going to have my puppet do an impression. So my puppet, I had my puppet sing Garth Brooks. And the audience's jaws dropped. And then after I did that, this guy comes up and says, were you really singing that? And I said, yeah, that was me singing. He goes, do it. And so I said, blame it all on my roots. I showed up in boots. And then if you're listening and you can't see this, I just did that without moving my lips. And the guy went, oh my gosh. At this point, I realized I'm on to something really interesting. But I thought that there was going to be copycats popping up all over. So I was calling myself the human jukebox because I could do, like a jukebox. I could do anything, everybody from all these different voices. So I changed my slogan to the original because I'm thinking, man, once they see me on America's Got Talent, they're going to be popping up everywhere. Right. Well, about 3 years in, I realized nobody else had popped up to do it, and then I thought, oh well, geez, it's because nobody else can do it. You not only do you have to have the gift of being able to do ventriloquism, you have to be able to be a comedian. You also have to be a puppeteer. You also have to be able to do impressions, and you have to be able to sing. So it's like, wow, and it's really
beyond a trifecta.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like a quinfecta or something.
It's crazy.
So here's a few things, and talk to me like I'm a golden retriever and I'm an idiot, because I'm trying to figure this out. So like Jim Carrey, if he wanted to do an impression, because he's great at impressions, or even Kevin Spacey's great at impressions, right? Mm-hmm. So they can do like a Marlon Brando impression, but they can't sing.
Right. Right.
Kevin Spacey can actually.
It's actually the opposite for me. I can't do speaking. I can do some, but not. I don't do speaking impressions, but I can sing.
So you couldn't do an impression of my voice?
No, but if you sang to me, I could sing it back exactly. I had this lady that was a singer. She met me one time, and she says, so you can do impressions of singers? And I said, I do. And so she sang a line, and I sang it back to her exactly the way she did it. And she went, oh my gosh, that was unbelievable. But I don't know what it is, but I can hear the tones, and I can recreate the tones. But I can't, I guess I probably could do impressions. I can do Eric Cartman. Oh, that's great. Nice to meet you.
Right.
But I can only do, I don't do many, but I can sing like just about anybody. It's very strange.
Okay, so let's go back to your earliest memory. It's at the age of 3.
3.
You're at church.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you're standing on a dining room table
mm-hmm.
or something.
Our church used to have dinners after everything, and so it was kind of like almost like a little commune. And we were always doing things. My first school was there, my preschool, and then my first 5 years old. We all went. Everything was revolved around the church. So we were having dinner one night, and oddly, I don't know why, but this really imprinted on my brain. And I loved to sing. I had this little record player that was a 45, and I had all these records, and I was doing, I could hear, Beatles songs and Carole King and all this stuff. And so I'm listening to all this stuff, and I can sing them. So one day, I don't remember why, but I was standing on this table, and I see this in my mind. I can see this like sea of adults, and I started singing, and they were laughing and clapping and smiling. And in my little 3-year-old brain, I thought, this is what I want to do. I like this. This is where I belong. And, my wife Angie says that I'm more comfortable on stage than I am anywhere else. It's really where my happy place is.
More Dry Heat after the break. You're watching Dry Heat with Mike Davis.
Pushing ahead 5 years. So your parents have this janitorial business. You're alluding to that. 8 years old, your parents would drop you, your brother, your sister off at just a huge building.
Yeah.
And you guys would have to do the work and clean. So instead of trying to find some enjoyment in the boredom of cleaning, you would actually listen to the radio or sing and start developing these voices. So it's kind of like Outliers, the great Malcolm Gladwell book that I love, the 10,000 Hours, the Beatles, that song 8 Days a Week is all about, they were in Hamburg and they're grinding and they're playing so many shows that's how they could crank out those hits, and that's how they got so good. You're developing your 10,000 hours as an 8-year-old doing voices while you're mopping like a floor.
Exactly.
So could you give us a taste of what you would be doing? You don't have to bring out a mop, but just, give us an example of what you would do in your head to pass the time.
So I would be doing something, not that there's anything wrong with being a janitor. It just was not my calling, and I hate physical labor.
Jim Carrey had the same thing, actually, if you don't know. In Canada, his parents, same issue.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, that's fascinating. So he probably did the same thing I did. I lived vicariously through my imagination of what I was going to do when I didn't have to be a janitor. My brother loves physical labor. He would go to the ranch and he would be digging post holes in 110-degree weather in Texas, and he lived for that. I hated it. I wanted to do mind work. I wanted to write. I was the guy that was writing poetry and songs and routines and jokes and singing and practicing. I wanted to be on stage. That was my dream. So instead of allowing this what could have been hell for me as a child who didn't want to be doing this, I didn't want to be vacuuming at 8 and 9 and 10 years old. I decided I'm going to focus on what I want to be and what I want to do. So when I found ventriloquism at 10 years old, I would listen to the radio. Now this was I just did a little bit of so let's say so I was listening and Danke Shame would come on.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm mopping and I'm like, Danke Shame, darling, Danke Shame.
So you're singing Wayne Newton.
Doing all this, yes.
But why are you not moving your lips? Is it because you were embarrassed in front of your siblings to sing? Or
because I would sing with my lips moving until I found ventriloquism. And then I said, this is a perfect way for me to practice not moving my lips.
Okay, so...
so once I found ventriloquism, that's when I started singing without moving my lips.
So you get this book from Paul Winchell.
Paul Winchell. Ventriloquism for Fun and Profit.
And you're getting that around 10 years old. Educate me. Had anybody in the history of ventriloquism before you found a way to marry singing and ventriloquism? Was that ever a thing, or was it just kind of like you're talking to a puppet who's just talking with you?
I think they had done it intermittently. Like, for example, somebody told me that Sherry Lewis actually did a show with a symphony, and she didn't. It wasn't as song-centric. She would do little songs, but she would do normal routines. I think I'm the first that made my show a musical, and of course musical impressions, because I'm the only one that can do impressions, singing impressions, and ventriloquism. But no one made it a focal point of ventriloquism until me. I was just told maybe 3 or 4 years ago, somebody comes to meet me at one of my meet and greets after my show. And they said, how does it feel to be the father of the singing ventriloquist? And I said, what are you talking about? And they said, you do realize that worldwide, you're known as the guy that started the singing ventriloquist. And I said, I am? And they said, yeah, just like the guy that started doing bird magic. And I never can remember his name.
I don't know that.
But yeah, but there's like a book about this guy. And all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I didn't realize I was having that kind of an impact, but I literally changed the world of ventriloquism because almost every ventriloquist sings now, you notice. And it was because of what happened with me with America's Got Talent.
I think it's so remarkable, and that's why I'm so excited about this show on June 21st with the Las Vegas Philharmonic at the Smith Center. First of all, Smith Center, it's a gorgeous venue. It's going to be beautiful. In my own voice, an intimate evening with Terry Fator. So here's the thing. It's not that I don't like ventriloquism and I don't like puppets, but I just love music. So when the first time I met you, and then I think my first show I ever saw of you was a Christmas themed show at the Mirage at the Terry Fator Theater, I was so moved by how amazing of a singer you were. It was just like, I couldn't believe that. I was just like, give me a little bit more of the singing, please, because I was so moved by how amazing you are. I was just watching AGT All-Stars. One of my favorite albums of all time is Bocelli's Sogno album. It's like an Italian, just beautiful album. Celine Dion, The Prayer, David Foster written song. You sing this on AGT All-Stars. I just cannot believe the ability to mimic Bocelli, to not be moving your lips, to have to focus on singing Italian and having Winston at the same time. Can you do a little for us? Because it's just striking to me.
Yes, I can.
Thank you, Winston.
Yes.
This is Winston.
And we got a special mic just for you, Winston.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Here we go. This is Bocelli. Quando sei lontana sogno l'orizzonte mancan le parole e io sì lo so che sei con me, con me, con me, con me. La luce che tu dai nel cuore resterà a ricordarci che l'eterna stella sei. There you go.
I'm melting. I'm melting. It's dry heat. I'm melting inside. It's so freaking beautiful. And it's like...
People don't realize that. You don't know how often people will come up to me after a show and they'll say, I will have done a song by myself, and they'll say, I didn't know you could sing, which means I'm doing a really good job, because if they think the puppets are really singing, then they really believed it.
Well, I just think I guess it's a mental leap for people.
Dry Heat with Mike Davis will be right back.
So many beautiful things, but I just want to understand more about the residency kind of thing. So you get the AGT, and then what kind of happens? Because it's not like there's just, okay, now the road is paved and you're ready to go and it's easy breezy. Like, you got to still make things happen for yourself. So
I wanted to be a Vegas headliner from about 1988 when I read this article about Danny Gans signing a multi-million-dollar, multi-year deal. So I'm thinking, that's where I want to be. Same thing. 10 years old, I want to be a famous ventriloquist. I want to be the best ventriloquist in the world, number one. Number two, I want to be very famous. I want to be one of the most famous ventriloquists in the world. So those are my two goals at 10. Never deviated from that. I had 15 years of my band. 15 years in, I said, guys, I got my dream. I got to complete this dream. Now, had I stayed with the band, I never would have gone on America's Got Talent. So I said, no, I have to do this. So when I'm on the show, I don't expect to win it. I expect I'm going to get on 2 episodes. I don't care. I can double my price at elementary schools. That's fine. That was my goal. I never planned on being a millionaire. And so I'm thinking, how can I let them know I want to play Vegas, that I want to be a headliner in Las Vegas? So fortuitously, one night after I did a performance, Jerry Springer, who was the host, he says, Terry, what do you hope to accomplish with your appearance on this show? And I'm sitting there and my brain just goes, ding, here it is. And I said, I want to be a headliner in Las Vegas. Now, here's what happened. I didn't know this. But talk about, I believe in God. I'm a Christian. I believe very strongly in God. And if the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, it was all coming together, because unbeknownst to me, that very night, some of the top executives at the Mirage who were planning on replacing Danny Gans saw me say that, and they said, if this guy wins, we're going to offer him a contract.
Oh, my Lord.
Is that insane?
That is ridiculous.
And I said this. Now, but it goes further than that. So I was going to have my puppet, I told you about yodeling. I was going to have Walter yodel on the show. That was my plan for the next. I get this phone call. It's Simon Cowell.
Oh, my God.
He's the executive producer of the show.
Right, so at that point, it was Piers Morgan, Hasselhoff, and Sharon Osbourne.
Right.
Springer's hosting.
Right.
But he's the executive producer.
And he's behind. I didn't know
Simon
this.
Cowell.
I didn't even know until he called me. He's watching everything. He had seen all the auditions. He had seen everything I did. And in my first audition, apparently they taped it. I had done Tony Bennett, and one of my puppets sang, I left my heart in San Francisco, and so Simon calls me and he says, now I understand, Terry, I should do the voice, I understand, Terry, that you're going, but he says you're going to yodel, but I heard you do Tony Bennett and Dean Martin, and I would really prefer if you would do Tony Bennett and Dean Martin.
That was good advice.
And I said, done.
More Dry Heat after the break.
This is Dry Heat. Terry, thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure. Real quickly, can we see Winston one more time before we let you go? Can you just do us a little, I want everybody to see, do a little Marvin Gaye. Give us a little range of a few things. Marvin Gaye. Oh, I love when you do Marvin. Just give us a flavor of a couple
Marvin
things.
Gaye, I'm trying to think of what do I... Oh, that's right. What's the song? Wait a minute. I've been really trying, baby.
It sounds better when his voice is warmed up.
My voice? What are you talking about? It's your voice.
Oh, yeah. I got a sore throat.
You do?
Yeah. His wrist hurts.
Right. Okay. Anyway, so then... Alas, my love has come along, crying over you. Love me tender, love me sweet, never let me go.
Look at that. Beautiful stuff from Etta James to Elvis to Terry Fator. You're so much more than the man of 100 voices, so much more than just a trifecta. You have so much beautiful stuff. And on your 60th birthday, I think more than anything, your personal work. What we've learned today is a beautiful thing and a lesson for many at home. So thank you for being here with us, and happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
And it's not your birthday.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday, Terry.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for watching Dry Heat with Mike Davis. Go to our YouTube page, Silver State Sports, to hear our complete interviews.